The first thing I do is usually set up with a sketch, and that helps me decide what is the best route to go. I'm a fairly fast painter once I know what I'm going to do.
So what are you doing right now?
I'm setting up a quick sketch.
Uh-huh.
So my first sketch is going to be the abstract. Very inexpensive panels because I teach a lot. And I go through these like crazy, like candy. And so I buy them on sale and then I'll tone them with an acrylic paint just to give it a walk. And then we put in our 1/3 lines, just like we did with the drawing.
I had wanted, when I first saw the a lot of the plein air guys that I looked up to, what kind of gear they were using, and they were using these open box M's. I had to get one. This is actually an old painting that I didn't like. Okay. So I cut it up. It's on the other side of the painting was just a smooth side of hardboard, remounted canvas on this side, and it's called recycling. So I have my scene right here, and I've got some rock outcroppings. I've got the ponderosa pines that are right there. I've got the distant mountains with the snow on them in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4 type elements that I'm going to try to compose on this panel. So those elements are there, but I'm going to maybe compose this a little bit different, not too much, because I like where everything is. But once I start digging in a little deeper on how I'm cutting in the mountains into the shapes of the trees, we'll kind of see how things evolve, so to speak.
Rocky Mountain School of Art used to be in the 80s on Colfax. It was in Denver, Colfax and Ogden or thereabout. And it moved to Lakewood. It got sold. It was an art school. It was a down-to-earth art school. It was not accredited, had all these professionals that just loved to teach. And the school got sold. And got sold, got accredited, moved to Lakewood. It also got real expensive. At the time I was going there, it was about the art. And in the late 70s, early 80s, it was about abstract art. And so we learned the language of art in a different form. So I was going to be an abstract artist that set the world on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Shortly after I graduated, things changed like they always do. Critics were looking at abstract art and making little stupid comments like, oh, there's a cat who just smeared some paint on the wall, and that's abstract art. And so it degraded the intellectual quality of abstract art, the intention, the discipline, and it became popular, was more representational, especially at that time Southwest art. So we had to switch, a lot of artists had to switch to survive, to painting landscapes, cowboys and Indians, cows in the fields and stuff, which is okay. It's still quite abstract. They don't know it, but it is. So the language of abstract art is about tension and release, about activity and passivity, and about shape and size and restrictions, and making the emotions come forward because of those rules. And the language of landscape is essentially the same, but the vocabulary is just a little bit different. So now we're still talking about shapes, overlapping shapes, values, edges. And so for me, it's still talking about tension and release. I think I've got a real benefit from that culture change at that time. Because now I have, what, 2 languages, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was that kind of effect. It was like I was looking at this Michael Lynch painting in the window going, I can't stand it. This is great. I love it. What's going on here? Michael Lynch Studios, his phone number by appointment only. I go, great. He answers, hello. I go, Mr. Lynch, my name's David Harms. Gosh, I'm right out kind of front of your place here. I'd love to talk to you about fine art. And he's like, sure. He told me how to mount this stuff.
Yeah.
He told me what to use. He told me all the colors that I'm using today are directly from that day. He wrote it out on a sheet, which I still have near me at my home easel, written verbatim. Permalba white. Why Permalba white, you ask? Simple. That day with Michael Lynch in 1998 or 99, this is what he uses. What am I using for a medium? That's right, odorless mineral spirits. You know where I'm going with this. Dave, why do you just use odorless mineral spirits? What about all the other stuff? This is what Michael Lynch uses, or used. I haven't talked to him in a few years. And so, I don't, if there are guys that are pros, that know what they're doing, that are the best of the contemporary genre, from music to, in this case, painting, and this is what they use, just give it a whirl. I use only the finest of materials. Home Depot chip brushes, 89 cents. These nice fancy brushes were on sale that I used with a 40 or 50% off coupon from Michael's. A palette knife to scrape off the old stuff as we're going along here. A couple of smaller brushes, maybe if there's, you can see some of the darker tree limbs and stuff. I may want to accentuate some of those. So yeah, just to get back to Michael Lynch, I was so enthralled with his work, his approach, the simplicity of it, that a lot of times you get lots of people that have fancy gear, fancy this, all the colors, all the top notch, and it's the nut behind the wheel. This guy, amongst many others, but he in particular, can take a couple of colors, and when he's done, it doesn't get any better in the world.
Yeah.
So I like that thought that it's just you and a small and a few things and a great composition that's inspiring to you to get going. Paul McCartney, these guys, great songwriters, they need a guitar in their voice and maybe a piece of paper and a pencil to write stuff down. And John Lennon could just have a guitar and look out. That's all you need.
Yeah.
This for me out here is similar to that. It's the environment. The reason I kind of talk with energy and with a certain tempo, the reason I'm painting with big brushes, big swaths of stuff right off, the reason that there's kind of a, I don't want to say sense of urgency, though. We have a brand new day. The sun just came out. It's a whole new painting.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm doing that, I hate to reference the same guy all the time, but from that first 2-hour get-together with this complete stranger, Michael Lynch, he said to me, look, Dave, here's how it works. If you're doing an 8x10, little 8x10, this is an 11x14. If you do an 8x10, it shouldn't take you more than 45 minutes. I'm like, what? Aren't you supposed to paint it? It's got to dry.
Yeah.
Then you paint some more. Then it's got to dry. Then you paint. He's like, no. 45 minutes. You do a quick, and the reason I yellow ochre it is because Michael Lynch did. It kills the white, but it's a nice warm color underneath that dries real fast. He's like, it's dry. I'm like, there's a little bit that comes off, sure. But your day's gonna change. After 45 minutes, the shadows now are this. The highlights now are that. It's like, why even bother? So that's 45 minutes, tops, for an 8x10.
I came out of Rocky Mountain School of Art in 1980, and so I've been literally painting since 1980. I had to pay bills, so I spent about 30 years as a technical illustrator, patent illustrator, and I would paint and show on the weekends and evenings. I've been a professional full-time artist now for over 10 years, and I think my biggest growth was when I started teaching. I really didn't want to teach. I really didn't. My first workshop, I had a rank beginner who would ask questions like, do I hold my paintbrush in my right hand or my left hand? And in the same class, I had a student who, when I said, we use sometimes a raw sienna or a burnt umber to tone the canvas, and she went into telling me where the manufacturing plant was, where they got the materials, how they ground it, proportion of linseed oil, and just way too much information. So I was dealing with both sides of that, and I thought, hey, I'm going to teach no more. This is nuts. It's too much. My brain hurts. And I had the opportunity to teach again another workshop, and I saw these students have that aha moment, and I went, well, that's cool. I might be able to hold on to this for a while. And they've gone on to do some really wonderful things.
And how long have you been teaching as part of your career?
Ever since I was full-time. In order to support my addiction, I had to find and wear different hats in order to get things to happen. So, I started teaching when I became full-time. Things that I learned from those students helped me to grow immensely. Because you can't talk about this stuff unless you really know about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to, if you're going to talk about values and shapes, you're going to get some questions that are like, well, what about that? Can you go into more detail? And if you can't hold up your argument, right in here. Yeah, so teaching helped me grow.
And in different light, the little ridges of thicker paint make the painting look different a lot of times, which I think is neat.
Yeah.
You shine light this way, and with the brush strokes, it looks one way. If, for instance, you're holding it up in a different light, and it'll look different, and that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like to use thicker paint when I'm laying down, let's say, the last little bit of strokes, because for me personally, and this is just for me personally, I like the authority of what thicker paint, how it looks. And so I will use it pretty deliberately.
So why do you like working with oils?
I wanted oil paints. Again, it was what I had gotten when I was 14 or 15, that first oil painting set. And so I knew that my favorite painters, even before I started painting, was Frederick Remington and Norman Rockwell. And they were oil painters.
So tell me what you like about painting in Rocky Mountain National Park, and how often do you do that?
Rocky Mountain National Park, for a variety of reasons, is a sentimental favorite for me because it's close, it's spectacular. I love the history. I'm a big history guy.
And what do you think of Rocky Mountain National Park as a subject?
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You know, I was coming to Rocky Mountain National Park when Bear Lake was barely a parking lot. When I was a little kid, excuse me, you had like 10 spaces, and you would walk in any time of the year and it would be empty. I remember that. Now it's just a giant parking lot. You can't get to it anymore without reservations. A lot of hoopla. So yeah, I love this place. I would literally love this place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting harder and harder to enjoy with the crowds.
Sure. What do you like best about it?
It's variety. It has so much to offer. I mean, it's got trees and alpines and barren spots. But I was enjoying the park way before the alluvial fan was ever a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go hiking back in there. And yeah, I've seen it change. And what I like about it is its variety.
Yeah.
Coming here and listening to the elk in the fall is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Having the wildlife. There was a time when they said the black bear would get you if you took too much time in the back country, and that was fun. We'd go looking for it. Right?
To get the official signing pen.
A big pen, eh? Okay.
The big pen, or whatever you've got in your rig to sign autographs with. Just kidding.
Exactly.
You can see it. Mm-hmm. Can't really see it. That's okay.